Okay, folks, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the player stress feature. So there's a few things that we need for that. First off, we need the stress music, or sorry, we need to have music in. I'm going to change this because I just realized I messed something up. So we'll call this the main music, okay? And it's pretty simple, but it's what we'll use. I'm just going to add that. So there's our main music. And right away I'm going to hook that up with game start. Okay, so now our game start has two plays. The music and the ambience. And like the ambience, we're going to do a fade in for the music so it's not so jarring. Perfect. And if we want to test that out, let's just have a look-see, listening to see what it does. So game start. For my liking, that's a little bit loud, so we're going to turn down that music. That music is very well mastered. So if I double click and go into general settings, I can turn this down. I'm going to turn it way down. Just like that. So just kind of a hint. So if we go back to Soundcaster, sessions, demo, hit play. Just a hint, okay? Perfect. So if we look at the design, player stress. Whenever the player is stressed, exerting, music should be subdued and ambient should be quieted to 1 or 2 layers. The idea is to reflect the player being in the zone. Now I went a little bit further and I also created some stress content. And what it is it's some heavy breathing. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to add this in here, import. All right, so here's this. Right away, I'm going to put this into a random container, new parent, random container stress. And what we're going to do is we're going to use trigger rate on this. And here's why, trigger rate. So if we do trigger rate, what this does is lets us play a sound repetitively over time without having to be spammed with a bunch of events. So let's change this trigger rate to 3 seconds, just for starters. And now when I hit play on this, it's going to play one of its pieces of content every 3 seconds. Okay, and I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Perfect. I actually think that's good just as is. But you'll notice, for a laugh, we can make them hyperventilate. Okay, but 3 seconds is what we want in this case. 3 seconds. Okay, so a couple things have to happen when we go into stress mode. Let's take a look at our events. Do we have an event for enter stress? Player, exert start, exert stop. Exert start is what we have, I think. Yeah, so we'll go into exert start, and a few things have to happen here. First, we want to play the stress content. Get rid of this puppy. Second, we need to subdue the ambience. So let's go into ambience, and I'm trying to think what would be good. We'll get rid of water, and we'll get rid of the forest, and we'll get rid of the air. So it's just the wind. But we're going to change these to set volumes. Voice volume, set voice volume, voice volume, set voice volume, voice volume, set voice volume. And we also need to, of course, reset these on the exert stop. So we'll go into event, exert stop, and we're going to add those 3 in there again. Oops, events, exert stop, and add these in. Bam, bam, bam. And we're going to change these to event voice volume, reset voice volume, voice volume, reset voice volume, reset voice volume. Now, of course, as you probably imagined, because I'm Mr. Sound Quality, I want to make sure it's not too jarring. But for an event like this that could happen relatively frequently, let's give it a faster fade in. So we'll give it 3/4 of a second to reset itself. Okay. And likewise, oh, and we also need to stop our stress. And I'm going to use a fade in on this, but I'm going to make it super quick so that it feels reactive to what's going on in the game. Okay, and if we go back to player exert start, then stress, let's do a fade in. Let's do a 1 second fade in that. And we didn't do a fade out. So we'll change the ambience there. And I got to look at the design doc again. What else is required? Music should be subdued. So we should also change our music. Music, set voice volume to 0. Oh, and that reminds me. I never set these. Turn these way down. Okay, and go back to exert stop and bring this in. Player stop, or no, sorry, voice volume, reset voice volume. These resets should all be okay. So let's see if that works. Go into sessions, demo session. We got more events to add here. So player start, exert, player stop, exert. Let's see how that functions, see if I messed it up. So we're going to reset everything, and we're going to go game start. So we should have the music in there and our ambience. Then something happens and the stress begins, so the player exert happens. Then it stops. Okay, so I like that, but in listening to it, I think he actually needs to breathe faster. So let's change that. Let's go to our audio tab. I'm going to move this down here and go into stress, and we'll change our trigger rate. Let's try 1.5. We can just try it from here. Sure. Let's try that. So sessions, sorry. And we'll reset all, game start. 5 seconds for it to come in, and then exert. Okay, I like that, but I think what we need is to change the fade in time. So I think it's a little abrupt. So let's go. Oh, we didn't set a fade time. So I'm going to put a 1.5 seconds fade for the ambiances so that there's a gradual change, and the music will change over 2 seconds, so it has a bit of a tail. And let's see what that is like. Save, sessions, demo session. Okay, game start. Exert start. That's good. I like that. There you go. So folks, at this point we have basically 3 features that have been put into the game, and I want you to realize just how quick we were able to iterate, and that's one of the magical things about WWise. So use the Soundcaster session and the settings on the individual files to get a good sort of experience going there. As you can see, with just a few iterations, we got to something where the stress feature feels pretty good, and that's where I want you folks to be. So there you go. That's the end of this video, and we're going to do the big jump or the big fall content next.